from San Francisco wrote a really touching story about Okamoto family heritage. And Allen came up from San Francisco through this rain and everything, and to share with us about his family, the Okamoto family heritage. Allen, thank you for coming up.
You're most welcome. You know, when Andrew tells me to do something, I jump right away. I just wanted to say that this Sacramento chapter is so dynamic. You guys are absolutely wonderful. I know I came here earlier for your chapter kickoff, and it was absolutely fabulous. I thought that the Las Vegas chapter, started by John Fukuda, was one of the best for the prototype. But unfortunately, the Sacramento chapter now is the best chapter, art chapter we have.
Thanks, Allen. I'll pay you later, thank you. Tell us a little bit, how long have you been in the real estate industry now?
Let's see. I have been in real estate probably longer than most people have been on this earth, in this room here. I was first licensed in 1965.
Wow. Wow. Tell us about your family heritage. Like, why did your family come to Japan back in, a long time ago? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm not really a historian, but there was a tremendous change in Japan during the late 1800s. It was called the Meiji Restoration. And a lot of the people were going out of work. There was a severe depression in Japan, so a lot of the people had to leave Japan, and they came to the United States to see if they could find a better life. So my grandparents came to San Francisco in 1896.
Okay. So where was your dad born?
My father was born in San Francisco.
Okay. What was his profession at the time? What did he do?
Well, my grandfather started a shoe repair business. He had to have a trade before the United States would let him into the country, so he chose shoe repairing. And my father was the salesman for the company. Well, it wasn't really a company, it was just a two-man operation. And he was selling leather goods and shoelaces and whatnot to all the Italian shoemakers in San Francisco.
Okay. Understand that he worked, what was his profession during World War II? Because he was at the time serving the U.S. Army, right? Correct?
Well, actually, up until World War II, he was doing the shoe business, the shoe leather business. But as some of you may know, during World War II, President Roosevelt enacted Executive Order 1966, which said that all persons of Japanese ancestry on the west coast of California, Oregon, and Washington would be relocated to what is now called concentration camps or prisons in the interior of the United States. So my family first moved to the Assembly Center, which was the 10th Rand racetrack. My father was 37 years old. He had two kids. My brother was only 3 months old, and they had to move into horse stalls in the 10th Rand racetrack. And before they had to move in, my father actually had to wash the walls off because of all the horse manure. And they expected families to live under those conditions. And after they were there for several months, when the camps were being completed, or the prisons were being completed, my family moved to Topaz, Utah, which is in the desert in Utah, one of the most desolate areas in the United States.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, you were born during the encampment, am I correct?
Right. Because my father was a graduate of the University of California, he was a Phi Beta Kappa, a citizen of the United States, but still forced to move into the camps. Because he was well educated and bilingual, the U.S. Navy chose him to be an instructor of Japanese to the U.S. Navy officers. They would come to the University of Colorado, learn their Japanese, and go off to the Pacific and fight. So while my father was in University of Colorado, I was born in Boulder, Colorado.
Wow. So what year did you leave the encampment, and did you have any memories at the time about that?
Actually not. I was only a year and a half when we left Boulder, Colorado. The war ended, and my father returned back to San Francisco to reestablish his life.
Okay. What was his profession after the war, your dad?
Well, before the war, as I said, he was selling the leather goods and whatnot, but all these shoe repair shops said that they couldn't deal with him because he was Japanese. So he had to find something new to do after he came back. So he started selling life insurance to all the returning Japanese Americans back to San Francisco. And that turned into selling property and casualty insurance. And later, as the Japanese Americans began to become a little more affluent after they were able to save money, they were able